a little bit. Shannon's going to go a lot more in depth with what it is and how it's going to benefit you and your business. So plan on just sticking around right in here immediately following Ignite so that we can talk about Bold and you can hear it directly from Shannon. Immediately following that, for your convenience, at 12 o'clock is the ALC meeting. Who's ever been to an ALC meeting? Right. And David has. David, tell us what you know about the ALC and what the meeting was, because I remember that you and I came a couple of weeks ago.
The first time I went to was just like a little forum where the top producers get together, right?
Right.
And basically they're being coached on how to grow their business.
Okay.
And they're discussing policies for the market center. And then Kathy Manchester gave an inspiring speech about her experience with Keller Williams and how she started and all that.
And who is Kathy Manchester, for those of us who don't know? Designated broker. She's your designated broker, and she's the designated broker of the entire Keller Williams company here.
It's definitely worth attending one of them, at least.
Sure. So, excellent. Thank you for that. So, the ALC, does anybody know what that stands for, by the way?
Associate Leadership Council.
Associate Leadership Council. And in order to be part of the Associate Leadership Council, you have to be within the top 20% of the company. So, right now, I think there are 10 ALC members. If you ever want to see their faces, they are conveniently located right outside of Creighton Hall up on the second floor. You'll see all their pictures. Also, for your convenience, they were put into your Passport to Profit, which we have right here. So if you're ever wondering who they are, what their names are, they're located right in your Passport to Profit. Matt, question?
What kind of volume does it take to get in the top 20%?
Excellent question. You'd be surprised. So out of 465 agents, we have about 100 cappers. So to get us top 20%, you need to basically cap, which is, for those of you who don't know, is about $3 million in volume. And that will put you in the top 20%. Has anybody else heard the expression, the top 20% do 80% of the work? Yes. It's true in real estate too. So get yourself in the top 20% by becoming a capper, by plugging into the PC program, doing the activities, and producing results. Right? A little plug. Yes, so one more thing on the ALC. So just kind of to summarize what the ALC is, you have to be in the top 20%. There's 10 ALC members currently. They're very high level producing earners. Some of them run their own businesses as solo agents. Some of them have teams. Some of them manage teams. They get together and they talk about their business. They talk about what the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the Red Book, teaches you to do. So you're hearing 10 of the top earning producers in this company talk about their business, their numbers, and how they intend to grow it even larger. So might that be a useful conversation for you to listen to and observe? I think yes. They happen once a month. It's 1 hour, well worth your time. Also, the ALC acts somewhat like a board of directors here at the company. There are 5 owners of Keller Williams Maine, and then there's the ALC, who will vote on things like policy changes and the direction of the company, because they're representing the agents. So it's almost like a board of directors, so you'll be able to hear what's going on with the company and the policies and the changes that are coming and where we're spending money, which obviously affects all of us as part of the company. So I highly recommend you go. So we covered Bold, we covered ALC. 11 o'clock today, 12 o'clock today. Last thing I want to do before I get Rick started is I want us to all pull out our missions, Mission 1 and Mission 2 from last week. So everybody go ahead and take out those checklists right now. On Monday, I discussed with you that I was going to be checking in with you and making sure that we were able to complete our missions. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So everybody has their Mission 1 out? Question.
Most of those videos on Mission 2 just were dead links.
Did anybody have an issue opening the links for the videos? Raise your hand. Okay, who didn't look at the videos at all?
Me. Well, I didn't watch it because I can just come up. So.
Who didn't try? You weren't here last time? Kelly?
I don't have those missions.
This didn't come in your binder?
No, I don't have it.
It's on KW University because that's the only way you can really access the links. I can show you the web pages.
Okay, we talked about this last time. Let me reiterate it for everybody. If you don't have this in your binder for some reason, why don't we just make you a photocopy today? So have one of the other agents when we walk next door, we'll make a photocopy. Also, you can find these checklists on kwconnect.com. Search the word Ignite, and there you will find all of the content. Let me look into the videos and figure out what's going on. Thank you for at least trying. So what other missions did we have other than watching the videos? KW user account and password. Who has successfully logged into the KW account? Wow, okay, so we have a bunch that have not yet. You guys have never logged into KW?
I don't, is that the email or the like KW Connect?
My KW.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Which includes the dashboard, connect, commit, all of the logins.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in there, right?
Yeah.
Is that where like the internet calendar and stuff is?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
When I click onto the internet, my calendar is completely blank.
So the only calendar that you need as a PC agent is the PC 2019 calendar.
Is that the one that Charlotte sent us the email to link to?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's a combination of the Market Center events and the PC events.
So I don't need to check the internet one, right?
The reason why that one's no longer working is because we're transitioning to Command.
Okay. So that's void then.
So calendar, and which is the next one. Great, we talked about it. Let's see, moving right along. Note cards, business cards, and stamps. I heard some people talking about getting their headshots done. Fantastic. Who still needs to order business cards? Okay, what steps have we taken to get that done?
Got to find out who here to see to order them.
Okay. Send me an email or come see me. I've got 3 links for you to order business cards.
Okay.
And then you're going to need a headshot too, right?
Right.
You don't have to put it on your business card, but a lot of people choose to. You'll want one for your profile and stuff anyway. We got a photographer in the room.
Awesome.
Who else needs business cards? Okay, what's our plan? I know you, Monica, you just got the photographer. Perfect. That's step 1.
And then I gotta order the business card right after.
Perfect. And Tracy, do you have a plan?
As soon as, they haven't given me any of my login stuff or anything yet, I don't have anything
Okay.
yet, but as soon as I get it, I'll.
Okay.
go ahead.
I can send you the links for the business cards. You don't actually have to have a login for that.
Okay, perfect.
So the links I'm going to send you they're really convenient. You can make your business cards anywhere. The links I have are already KW compliant. So all you have to do is go put in your name and phone number, and then they've already got the logo and the branding already done. This took me 4 minutes to build because it was already done. Upload a picture, type in my name, order.
Where's the name tag?
The same link I'm going to send you, you can get a name tag.
They offer a package that includes a name tag.
The name tag and the
A week
business
or
card?
so.
Yeah.
Stopped in the
You can get 500 or 1,000 business cards in a name tag.
I need mine. That's on Sure Factory.
Alright, are we all still looking at mission 1? Alright, mission 1. Let's see. Down at the bottom, number 4, get to your Market Center. Market Center orientation. That's going to be with Heather. Has everybody who has not done an orientation with Heather in Creighton? Do you guys have it on your schedule for the next one?
Monday.
Monday?
Mm-hmm.
This Monday? Same thing?
I did.
It's at 1 o'clock, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, Monday 1. Can you make that? Perfect.
I think
And everybody else is done.
orientation with someone else
Monday at 1.
a long time ago.
Monday at 1.
This-
It may have been with somebody else if she was
Okay.
out.
Am I out of this if I'm not a KW person?
Oh, who are you?
I think Jackie told you about me and Dana. I'm from another company, I'm not KW.
Oh, okay, so then that one applies.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, what is the orientation with Heather? What is that exactly?
KW, welcome to the company. This is the business. You may have done it when you first
I've done it
onboarded.
like months, like January, I think, or December.
Yep,
Is that
yep.
what
They
counts?
happen every other week.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you just have to do it once.
Okay, okay.
When you first get onboarded. Technology. When do we talk about technology as a market center?
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and now Thursdays, right? It's called Tech Tuesday, and we'll call it Tech Thursday, I suppose. The reason why we added a second day for technology is, number 1, it's super important. Number 2, what's the new technology that we use that everybody's learning? Command. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are your opportunity to come and learn from an instructor how to use Command to its maximum efficiency, to all of its capabilities. That is, again, it's on the schedule with the location. It's typically next door in the cafe, thank you, which is basically when you walk up the second floor, you're there. Excellent. All right, for those of you who just came in, we're going over our missions from last week. So take out your mission 1 and your mission 2. I'm not going to start over. I'm going to just roll actually right into mission 2. So I can get Rick started here. All right, are we all looking at mission 2 now? Let's see, white pages. KW white pages. For those of us that have access, have we all filled out our white pages information? Who has not filled in white pages information? Okay, do we know how to do it?
I
No.
think so. It's in my KW, right?
You go to MyKW, you go to the white pages, and you fill out your profile. What this allows you to do is find referrals and receive referrals. You're basically letting the world know who you are within KW. That's all the white pages. That's how you look up other agents for referrals.
Where do I find that?
MyKW.
Mike?
So you have to be able to log into MyKW.
And then it'll say white pages on there.
So there's a dashboard, and one of the links is the white pages. If you're not familiar with the dashboard, who's familiar with the dashboard? Who knows what the KW dashboard is? If you work with me, I've probably shown it to you. The dashboard is an easy way to see all the different KW links that we have. So you have MyKW, you have KW Connect, KW eComply, Green Sheets, right? All the different sites that we use within KW, one of those is white pages. So it's a different page and it's a different link that you can find on the dashboard. All right, videos we're going to skip for now. Who has started to build their database? Who started to build their database? Who has not started to build their database? Actually, what system are we using to build our database?
I'm using Command.
Command. Who started using eEdge at some point in time? Anybody? Have we learned how to, or have we switched things over to Command yet?
No, it's not here.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys know how to do it?
I haven't really looked at Command much at all.
Okay.
Personally, but.
Let me give you the footnotes on how to do it.
Yeah.
Log into Command, bottom right, there's a little box where you can get service, and just write in a question, how to transfer contacts from eEdge, and it's going to give you a step-by-step process of what to do. Log into eEdge, click this button, click that button, and transfer them over. If you don't have eEdge or don't want to know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. You're not going to use eEdge, Command. So how many contacts do we have in our database so far? Somebody that had their hand up.
No, I don't know.
Give me a ballpark.
I think I have 24.
24, okay. Davian?
What did I look?
Oh, 60?
I don't know.
60?
70.
70? Okay. And where did we get these contacts?
Sphere.
Sphere. So for those of us who don't know, what does Sphere mean?
People we know.
People you know. Where do you get their name and phone number?
My phone.
Your phone, right? This stuff. It's not rocket science, guys. Take out your cell phone. Everybody that you know on a personal level, whether it be a friend, a family member, a past colleague, or past friend, or whatever the case is, they should be in your database. And then we're going to teach you how to systematically touch your sphere of influence to get business from them. Whether it's them themselves buying or selling, or a referral, somebody they know that's wanting to buy or sell. So start uploading all of your contacts into Command. Any questions on that? Perfect. Hey, you guys have the good fortune of seeing me every single Ignite class for the first 15 to 20 minutes to talk to you about your power-up sessions. So this is our second class. I know that there's some issues with the technology. No problem. From this point forward, it's an expectation of the course of Ignite that you're going to complete these action steps. These things are here not for me to just talk about, rather for you to go and do and progress toward a successful career. So do the activities. Cool?
Cool.
What's the Wi-Fi?
It might be on
It's
the
KW.
board.
It's the KW
Common thread.
core, and there's a.
Yeah, maybe on one of those pages.
It's Netgear 13. Yeah.
I started again.
Their password.
Yeah, that one.
All right, my job here is done. I'm going to pass it over to Rick. I will see you guys all Friday morning with your completed mission 3s. Hey.
Thanks, Joe.
See you guys.
See you later.
Thanks, Joe.
You stay in front of the
Okay. First, welcome to Ignite Session 2. My name is Rick Dow, as Joe said. I've been in real estate. I got my license the end of 2015. I was doing a dual career with real estate. I used to work for Oakers Dairy. I was a milkman, actually. I would go to work at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd get done about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I'd go home and sleep, then go pick up my kids, and then my wife would put us all to bed at about 7 o'clock at night. It was an awesome life I lived. Not really, because I had to work for the man. So I decided that it was time to change careers. So I got started in real estate. I met with Lori and Rick Bisson out of Woolwich. They were selling my grandmother's house. Had a conversation with her, and I went home that day and signed up for real estate online, which teaches you absolutely nothing about real estate. It's amazing. Got my license in September. My very first showing actually was a referral from the Bisson family. I met a young couple at a house. I had no idea what I was doing, but I watched a lot of HGTV, so I was like, all right, I can do real estate. It's a piece of cake, right? It's easy. They came in. I was kind of pointing out the good things, the bad things, everything that I thought would be important to them. And they left, and I'm like, oh, man, that was really awesome. And then they actually walked back into the house and said, okay, we're ready to make an offer on this house. I was like, holy shit. Okay, awesome. So I literally had printed out a purchase and sale. I had no idea how to fill it out. You know, in real estate class online, you fill out, I think, 1, maybe 2 at that point. I wasn't really involved in the PC program at that point. Joe wasn't the PC coach at that point, it was somebody else. And I really didn't have a good relationship with that person, so I didn't sign up for PC coaching. I got through that first transaction with a lot of hand-holding from the listing agent, who was Lori Bisson. But I signed up for PC coaching, and my PC coach was Tammy Richards, who was here 2 people ago as a PC coach. Absolutely amazing. I mean, and Joe is basically kind of modeling himself after what she did, so I know if you do the activities that Joe's talking about, I know there's a lot of homework, there's a lot of education, bless you. Do the activities, because it will make a huge difference. So in my first year in real estate, 2016, because really 15 was basically over, I did 14 transactions my first year by myself. I'm a solo agent, that's the other thing. But I would meet with Tammy on a regular basis, usually once a week or every other week. I would meet with her. I would come to all the PC trainings that I possibly could. My schedule allowed for that, because I was out of work at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, so I could make as much as I could. The other thing that I did as a newer agent, even though I didn't have to, I came to all the CEU classes. You know, when you log onto the calendar, or if you talk to Joe, ask him about the CEU continuing education units. You should come to those classes, because that's one of the things that I did that I think kind of set myself and a few other people in my PC group set us apart, because we did come to those type of trainings. Awesome, Charlie Dash, you're the best. Good. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too.
So coming to those classes, so in 2016, I did 14 transactions, and I was doing both jobs. I did my Oakers career as top of real estate, and it was really long days, and it really sucked. It was not fun at all. It was a serious lack of sleep. I'd go to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, because I was doing real estate all afternoon, to only get up at 1 o'clock to go back to my milk truck. So it was not a fun life for about 10 months, but the activities of doing what Tammy or what Joe's going to be telling you to do, it will pay off, because after about 10 months, like I said, I left Oakers. So I probably could have left a little bit earlier, but I have a family to support and a wife to answer to. But it turned out okay, because in 2017, I did 24 transactions. Again, as a solo agent, that's pretty good. That actually got me invited to be part of the ALC. I'm one of the members of the ALC, and it's kind of unheard of, I guess, after 2 years to be on the ALC, but I was able to do that because, again, I did the activities that Tammy told me to do, and it made a huge difference. Last year, my goal, one of the other things that we'll talk about today is goal setting. You know, my goal for like last year, per se, was I wanted to do 40 transactions by myself, and I got to 29 transactions, which to me is a huge disappointment. at 29 transactions, because that's 11 deals that I kind of left on the table. And my average commission is $6,000 per transaction. So that's $66,000 I left on the table because I didn't do the activities that I know I should have done. I kind of got a little bit lazy. I kind of took it a little bit for granted what I was doing, and everything came easy, and I didn't do a lot of lead gen. I didn't do circle prospecting. I didn't do cold calling like they'll teach you to do. So I actually I have a board at my house on my desk that says $66,000 on it. Because every morning I get up and I look at that and I'm like, okay, I gotta make my phone calls today. I have to do my activities today, because if not, I'm gonna leave another $66,000 on the table. And it's very frustrating. Again, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing it for the number of people I can help, but $66,000 is a lot of money. So it definitely sits in front of me every single day. Question?
Okay, I'm thinking about reevaluating my goals. You said you
Okay.
slacked off and you sold 29 houses.
I did. I was lazy real estate agent.
So if we bust our butts and our goal is 15, then we're way off the mark on
No,
what
you're not.
we can do.
Because my first year, my goal was
Okay.
18.
Gotcha.
You start out.
So the momentum really
it
builds
will,
fast.
It will build up real fast, real quick.
Good to know.
Because, my goal for that first year in 2016 was to do 18 transactions. You break it down, that's a transaction and a half a month. That's not that hard, actually, because it's not that many phone calls you have to make. But what happens is, because you're new in real estate, you're going to make a ton of calls to get that one transaction. And I know this is something that Paul and I have talked about, is when you cold call people, it takes, do we know the ratio of how many calls to one contact?
Like, what was it?
10%.
No, 150 or something. It feels like 150 calls.
It's about 100 calls for one good contact. And it's not calls, it's contacts. Like,
Right.
I have to literally conversation with 100 cold calls to get one good contact. What we're going to talk about today, and what Joe kind of talked about, was your database. The people who know you, the people who like you, the people who want to help you. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how to reach out to those people to say, hey, I'm in real estate. Let me help you. I'm an agent now. I can help you with your transaction. I can help you with your cousin's transaction. I can help you with your neighbor's transaction. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about today. But back to your original question, so the goal was 18, I got to 14. So it's like, okay, that's not too bad. The second year, my goal was 30, and I got to 24. So it's like, okay, I guess I don't really suck at real estate. I'm figuring it out. It gets easier as you go. And so last year when I set my goal at 40, I was like, oh, I'll hit 40, no problem. But I didn't. I keep kind of sliding backwards a little bit, in my opinion. But again, I know what I'm not doing, and I know I'm not putting the effort in that I probably could. But again, when you see that number of $66,000, it's like, shit, that sucks. So it's part of the momentum, though, is as you get going in real estate, your goals will continue to go. So one of the things that, for me, that helps is we talk about our big why a lot. I don't know, you guys are all fairly new with Keller Williams. One of the things that kind of motivates us to get up in the morning and do what we do in big why. And for me, it's a couple things. Again, I have a wife and 2 children. I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. I have a house payment I have to make. I have 2 fur babies. I have 2 beautiful dogs that I love very much. So I got to make sure they're well fed. And for me, when I was working at my previous job, I was kind of getting a paycheck and doing my job and showing up and going home, but I wasn't really helping people. And so one of the things that I love about real estate is that I get to help people. I get to change people's lives. You think about the biggest days of somebody's life. They get married, they have children, maybe they bought their first house. I've had a number of clients who were like single people who never thought they'd own a house. And I am able to show them, hey, I have contacts with lenders who might be able to show you how you're going to pay less for a house than what you pay in rent. Like, how insane is that? It might be a small 2-bedroom condo, but in 30 years you own it, and you're sitting on a really nice nest egg that you can sell it and move to Florida, or move somewhere else, do whatever you want. So to me, it's all about changing people's lives, and that's, I need to help more people change their lives. So that's a little bit about me. One of the things Joe was talking about, the contacts in your database. So I just happen to, everyone, if you have an iPhone, you can actually scroll to the bottom and see how many contacts are in your phone. I just looked at mine just out of curiosity. I have over 1,200 people on my phone that I can call. Granted, do I call all of them? No, because there are some people on my phone that are just complete like a-holes. I just don't want to talk to them. The other thing, I have a lot of real estate agents in my phone. You know, people who I've co-broke with, or people like Keller Williams. So when I kind of think about that ratio, I probably have about 1,000 people on my phone that I could call right now and talk real estate with. So that's one of the things that we're going to be working on today is how do we have that conversation with people. So just a quick survey, how many people have been in real estate less than a year? Just about it, right? No, you've been, how many people in real estate less than 6 months? How many people in real estate less than 3 months? 2 months? Less than a month?
Oh wait, are we?
This
So-
is week 4.
Technically, yeah.
This is week 4.
This is
okay.
Week 4, okay.
We started the same day.
Gotcha. So, for some of you who are just getting started in real estate, the question is, do people know you're in real estate yet? Have you had these conversations with people? The other thing I do with my database is I'm a huge Facebooker. You know, I'm probably getting a little bit too old for Facebook. I'm in my 40s, 40 to be exact. I love Facebook. Facebook is awesome. Right now my Facebook is flooded though with like other real estate agents who keep sharing their listings. It's insane. But that's okay because I also have my set of friends who are not real estate agents that I know I can get in touch with and talk real estate with. And a lot of times I kind of do as a private message. That way not everyone sees who I'm talking to because I don't want people to, you know, steal my contacts. Or just know that I'm having that conversation. Maybe they don't want people to know their business, that they're thinking about selling a house or thinking about buying a house. We'll offer a class, I think in the fall here at Keller Williams, that is a Facebook class. The gentleman's name is Kyle Draper. He comes from somewhere in Texas. He was here last year, and one of the things he talked about in our Facebook class was, you know, you have your Rick Dow Facebook, but you also have your Team Dow Real Estate Facebook. So you're gonna have a business page and a personal page. And like on my business page, it's all real estate all the time. They don't really know Rick Dow. They just know Team Dow Real Estate. Here are my listings, here are my open houses. I'm looking for buyers, yada, yada, yada. On my Rick Dow page, it's here's a picture of my dog, here's a picture of my kids, here's a picture of my open house this weekend, here's, you know, a picture of me, you know, having ice cream with my children, and here's, you know, hey, I'm looking for buyers, who do you know that I should know? You know, not saturating it with just real estate, but I want people to know that I am a real estate agent. And again, a lot of my contacts have come from just being on Facebook. You know, and I think about the number of transactions I've had. I mean, I guess I'm close to about 90 transactions in the first 3.5 years. I bet out of the 90 transactions I've had, I want to say probably 80 are either somebody I know or somebody that one person removed from somebody I know. Probably only about 10 of my transactions have been like just out of left field, a lead on, you know, realtor.com, or somebody find me on, you know, random websites, or somebody coming to an open house, like
Or cold calling.
or cold calling. Don't tell Joe I said this. I don't do a lot of cold calling because I don't have to, you know. But that's one of the activities I'm working on this year. But I don't have to do a whole lot of cold calling because everyone I've done business with, for the most part, is somebody I know or one person removed from somebody I know. So that's what we're really going to kind of talk about today.
Are you from the Portland area?
I am from the Portland area, so that kind of does give me a little bit of a leg up. I grew up in Portland. I went to college in Vermont, came back to Portland. I actually live in Topsom now. One of the other things that I do is I got into what's called the BNI chapter, Business Networking International. They're extremely hard to find openings for realtors. Every chapter, there's got to be 30-something chapters in the state of Maine for BNI, but you can only have one person from each profession. So there's only 30 real estate agents in each BNI group. And what BNI is it's business networking where you just give each other referrals. So like in my business network, my BNI group, you know, I have a lender that I do a lot of business with, and I have an electrician that I do a lot of business with, and an insurance person I do a lot of business with, and You know, people get all stressed out. I have a massage therapist in our group that I'll say, oh, you know what, go see my friend, she's a massage therapist. Calm you down a little bit because you're getting all fired up. You know, but networking is huge. If you can get in some networking groups, that makes a big difference. So where I live in Topsom, the other thing I did was when I would go pick my kids up from school, I always wear my badge, or I'd wear my Keller Williams jacket. And people just love talking real estate. And so one of the things you'll learn through Joe and PC and scripts and role playing is how to have those conversations and make it not sound scripted. You know, right now where you guys are, a lot of you in the learning phase, you're like, hi, my name is Rick and I like real estate and let me help you buy, sell, or invest. You'll get to a point where you'll be more fluid and have that conversation. But again, wearing gear, Keller Williams gear makes a huge difference. You know, I see a couple of people with badges on or jackets, whatever, have that because again, it's a conversation piece. And when somebody says, hey, oh, you're in real estate, how's the market? It's great, why do you ask? You know, it's all about asking the right questions back to get that conversation started. So, any other questions so far? Any thoughts?
Where do you get a jacket?
Joe will have the website that you can order through. It's like the KW Gear website. It's basically, he'll have a link to like the place where you get your badge and cards. They also have like apparel. So like I have a whole bunch of KW polo shirts and I have a jacket and a couple badges. I always have a couple badges in case I forget one somewhere. Which has been, or it's gone through the washer actually. A couple of those go through the washing machine. So that's kind of how I got started in real estate. Again, I'm a solo agent. We have a ton of teams at the Keller Williams Market Center. I'm kind of indifferent to either one. I mean, like I said, I'm solo. To me, I don't like to share my commission, to be honest with you. You can join a team and the commission split is different. And what I would say is for me, I had a ton of contacts here. So when I got started in real estate, I had a ton of contacts anyway from my previous job at Oakhurst. And I want to say out of the 14 transactions in the first year, 7 of them were probably Oakhurst related. That just people I already had, long-standing relationships with. So to me, it was easy to kind of get started as a solo agent. But if you don't have a lot of contacts and you're new to the area, a team might not be a bad thing, and again, a lot of people find that helpful and teams are good with like coaching, but again, you also have Joe who's going to be coaching you. So I think, if you're, again, indifferent either way, you just find what is a right fit for you, so that's really important. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this out. Charlotte printed off a whole bunch for it. Oh, Charlotte, did you not? Oh, good. Phew. God, I thought I was going to get mad at me. So this is one of the things that my PC coach gave me. It's called Doing the Database, which is a very helpful tool. There's 3 of you at this table. Very little. There's 2 of you at this table. This is something that I did from the get-go, and this made a lot of sense to me. Come on, right, that for you. There's 3 there for you. Yeah. So what this talks about, the DTD2 schedule, talks about the phone calls that you're going to make. And what it does is systematically, you think about every quarter, there's 13 weeks in a quarter, right? What it does is it will break down the alphabet so that you're calling basically 2 letters of the alphabet on a weekly basis. So if you flip to the back page, the back side of that page, it kind of has that breakdown for your 13 weeks. So we talk about touches in real estate, not to be inappropriate, but we refer to contacts as touches. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna literally touch somebody with a phone call every single quarter. And what you're doing with that contact is you're offering some sort of service. Right now, where you're all fairly new in real estate, is you're offering, hey, I'm in real estate. I know a good lender. I know a good accountant. I have a landscaper. I have somebody who can service your furniture if you need help. So what you're going to do with your phone calls, with your own database, is basically you're letting them know that you do real estate, and you're offering value to them. You're saying, I can help you with this. This is what I do now. And then at the end of your conversation, you would say, oh, by the way, who do you know that I should know? Because as I'm in real estate now, I have all these contacts that I can share with you. And what it does is people are like, oh wow, that guy's really helpful, you know? Because Rick really knows his stuff. And it's giving that value to people so that they know that you are actually looking out for them. In the breakdown of this, it talks about some of the ideas that you can talk about. You know, if you look at the theme ideas, again, when I call, I would say that I would have the same conversation every time though. So again, it gets a little like, it'll get a little boring for you, but some of those conversations, so like right now we're at the end of the first quarter, so we're going into the second quarter at the end of this month. So my conversation over the next couple of weeks might be, hey, Paul, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Great, Paul, glad to hear that. Hey, just to let you know, as a real estate agent now, we're coming into the spring and summer. A lot of times people start planning home improvement projects. Have you thought about anything that you have coming up for your home that you want to improve?
Not really.
No? Okay. If you ever do, Paul, I have this great guy that I could refer you to who could help you with some home projects. Or if you want a landscaper, I know a guy who does landscaping. So if you don't want to mow your lawn this summer, let me know and I'll get you in contact. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Perfect. Paul, real quick, while I have you on the phone, this is also the time that we find that a lot of people think about selling their home, or maybe thinking that they just got their tax return, they might want to buy a home this year. Do you know anyone who was thinking about buying or selling a home this year?
No, I know someone that just bought a home from another Keller Williams agent, but
Yeah.
she also has a home in Augusta that she'll be selling in the next year.
Great. Paul, if you do me a favor, if you want to keep me in mind or send me her contact information, I'd love to get a hold of her and I can help her with a market analysis of her home in Augusta. How does that sound?
Definitely.
Perfect, Paul. I appreciate your time.
Sure.
If you have any questions, let me know.
Certainly.
Conversations. It's all about offering help and value. And that's what people want when they're looking for a real estate agent. They want help and value. And one of the things that I did to start my business was I focused a lot on buyers because a number of reasons. First of all, as a buyer, especially a first-time buyer, if they have questions about stuff and you don't know, you just tell them, you know what, let me get back to you on that. You know, you never really want to say, I don't know. Somebody who's already bought a home and sold a home and bought a home and sold a home, they're going to know that you don't know what you're talking about. But a first-time buyer might not know that. And so that was intentional on my part to say, okay, I want to work with a lot of first-time buyers. The other reason I focused on first-time buyers was those first-time buyers in the next 3, 5 to 7 years are going to sell that home to buy the next home. So again, by starting with them as a first-time buyer, and then I continue to touch them and say, hey, do you need help with anything? Do you need a landscaper? Do you need a heating guy? Keeping top of mind for those people, I've already had, in 3.5 years, 3 people call me back to sell their first home to buy their next home. So again, starting with those first-time buyers, knowing that they're going to end up being multiple buyers, you know, multiple transactions type people. So that was another thing that I really kind of did by design. And it was something that I learned from another agent here at the Market Center who said, focus on first-time buyers because they're not going to know that you don't know. And they're going to eventually sell and buy a bigger home. So that one transaction really becomes 3 transactions. So kind of focus on that. So if you think about your database, the people you already know, you know who's a renter and who's an owner figure out who's renting and start calling those people and say, hey, I'd love to help you. I know a great mortgage company. We use, it's not Academy Mortgage here at the Market Center, Keller Williams. I'd love to get you in touch with these people and see what they can do for you when it comes to a mortgage. Because if you're paying $1,500 a month right now on a mortgage, I could probably find you a home and you'd end up paying less than $1,500. How would that sound? The other conversation I have with a lot of people, particularly buyers, is that you're going to pay $1,500 a month for rent. That's what, $16,500 in rent that you pay every year. What if I could show you how to own a home? Because $16,000 a year times 5 years is that $80,000 that you just paid in the last 5 years as somebody else's mortgage? What if I could show you how to get your own mortgage? Granted, that person might not, if you have credit issues, I wouldn't have this conversation with them right away, but I'd say, they'll show you how to get a mortgage, and if for some reason you don't qualify, they'll tell you how to qualify, and we'll get you on the right track to home ownership. You could actually own a home in 2019. How's that sound? It blows people's mind. They don't think about stuff like that. So that's the type of conversation you want to start having with people right now, particularly buyers, is who's renting right now? Who can you help find them a home? Going with your stats and your information, for $1,500 at today's interest rate, you're looking at a house that's a $225,000, $235,000 house. We could find that all day in Saco and Wyndham and Westbrook, and probably not Greater Portland unless you want to tear down. But you look outside the city perimeter, you could probably find a house in that $225,000, $240,000 range that would match what they want for a payment. So that's the conversation you want to start having with the people that you already know. So, any questions about that? Any thoughts? If I'm talking too fast, please let me know. Good? Good. Okay. The other thing I printed out for you, this day 120 contact. So, as we know, real estate is a contact sport, so we actually have to make calls. One of the things that, again, don't tell you I said this, but one of the things that the Market Center likes is for you to actually pick up the phone and dial for dollars. Dial and talk to people on the phone. I find, in my experience, not a lot of people like to take phone calls, particularly in the middle of the day between 9 and noon when you're supposed to be doing lead generation. If I call somebody in the middle of the day, their first question is, what's up, what's going on, who died? Well, that's not a fun conversation to have. My dog died, but hey, do you want to buy or sell a house? We don't have that conversation. I find the best time to actually make phone calls, if I'm going to make a phone call, is like in the evening. But quite frankly, I hate phone calls. I do. It sucks. It's not fun. I do a lot with email. And again, as a Facebooker, I do a lot with private messages. I mean, I bet out of my 1,000 good contacts on my phone, I'm probably friends with about 900 of those people already on Facebook. The people that I want to be friends with, people I want to help. Facebook people, private message them. Hey, Paul, I know you're a renter. What if I could show you how to do this? And he's going to respond back, oh my God, that'd be great. Or, right now is not the right time for me. So when it is the right time, please think of me. Again, I'm going to message him back. Well, I'm sorry, it's not the right time, but when it is the right time, let me know. By the way, who do you know that I should know? Who else do you know in your sphere that's a renter? Because not only do I tap the 900 or 1,000 people that I know, I'm going to be able to tap the 900 people he knows, and the 800 people you know, and the 1,000 people you know. So by reaching out to all those people, because again, we don't have the same friends. Again, I know Paul personally. We don't have the same circle of friends. So if I can tap my circle of friends, I can also tap his circle of friends. And again, I've already offered him value. Now I want him to pass my name to the people that he knows know that he will pass value to his network of friends. So not only am I going to ask you for the referral for you to buy a house, but who do you know who also needs to buy a house? And it's that kind of spider web it kind of out a little bit. But again, Facebook is huge for me. I get a ton. So when you're keeping track of your contacts, again, Joe will tell you 100 contacts a month, which is basically breaks down to 20 a day. It's not that hard to make that many contacts. And again, if you know enough people, you should be able to do that. I think in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, if you haven't read that book, that should be on your list of books to read. That one, and I don't see a copy of it up there, The One Thing book. If you've heard of The One Thing book and you haven't read it yet, please do. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. That's another really, really life-changing book. I mean, not to be all corny and cliche, but it's an awesome book to have to read because it talks about your time blocking. Like I said, we'll get into it a little bit later, but
Where can we get that from now?
if you go on, I know, like I got mine on Amazon.com, and I think the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, you might actually be able to get in the Market Center from
It's on
Bethany
Amazon as
and
well.
Lisa. Where?
It's on Amazon.
And it's on Amazon as well. But they might actually have a hard copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book over in the other building. But the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book talks about levels of connections and, you know, core advocates and, you know, sphere, and then outside your sphere, and unknowns or unmets is the name of the word, is the word they use, unmet. And they talk about, if you know, it's like 1,922 people, you could literally be a millionaire real estate agent. You could actually make $1 million if you know enough people. So like I think about how many people I know that I should technically be a $500,000 real estate agent, and I'm not yet. I'm working on it. But it's one of those things where it breaks it down by the numbers. I mean, we're gonna have a class here in April called Career Visioning. It's the end of April. Sign up for it, please, because it will talk about how to get to where you want to go. We'll talk about the goal setting and how to get to where you want to go. And if your goal is 12 transactions or 20 transactions or 50 transactions, it literally breaks down the numbers on how to get to that point. And that's what that class will do. So like for me personally, my goal is again 40 transactions. What that breaks down to is I need to have 3 or 4 appointments per week based on me working 48 weeks this year. Which again, 3 or 4 appointments a week, like that's stupid easy to do that. I mean, so for me to get my 3 to 4 appointments a week, it means because I'm using my database and the people I already know, I only need to make like 50 to 60 phone calls in a week or 50 to 60 touches in a week, which isn't that much.
Rick, do you count, like, do you ever go to like a Chamber of Commerce meeting and just meet a whole bunch of people for contacts rather than making phone calls? Do you ever go to events and is that a good way to?
Yeah, so like Chamber After Hours are good events. What's the other one? Not Chamber After Hours. There's like the.
They have a social, don't they? Is that
Yeah.
the after hours?
Yeah. There are other networking groups you can go to. Problem with those networking groups is there could be 16 real estate agents in there.
Think local?
Think local. Thank you. That's the group I was thinking of. Think
They're all
local.
Keller Williams.
The what?
And they're all Keller Williams.
Yeah, pretty much, because the Keller Williams is the ones that say, go to these events, go to these events. But again, those are people you haven't met. So again, that is a good way to get new people into your sphere. But again, if you're contacting the people that you already know, it's a much easier touch. So like I said, for me, if I make 40 to 60 calls or touches in a week, again, whether it be an after hours event or B&I or just the people I already know, the other thing that I do, and again, you'll get to this point, is again, I have 90 people who I've helped buy or sell homes. I contact those people all the time because they already know me and like me. I think there's only one that I don't because he didn't like me, but that's fine. Not everybody will like you.
But he bought a place for me?
But he sold his house to me, but he wasn't happy about it. That's another thing. He actually bought his next house with a different agent. That's how much we didn't like each other.
Oh.
But that's fine because I was okay with that. I was okay with the fact that I lost $6,000 because he used a different agent to buy the new house because he was frustrated with me with selling his house. But whole other story. For
Well, it
different
makes me
day.
feel better that you've had somebody not like you because you're like one of the nicest guys. in
I-
the whole
I-
thing. Seriously.
It's funny, I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday who is going to call my boss today, and I said, Kathy Manchester, here's her number. It happens.
Oh.
It happens a lot.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
to
no,
say it
people,
like that,
some,
but-
not everyone likes me. But the people who don't like me deserve not to like me
Right,
because
right.
I've treated them the way they should.
What do you mean?
Well,
Someone
good
who
for
wants to
you.
call to rat you out, or?
Yeah, because we walked away from a deal because they had uranium in the water that they wouldn't put a filter in.
Right.
The driveway is across the neighbor's yard, which he doesn't have a right of way for.
Right.
And the pins are not, like, part of this house, part of this lot, the road cuts across this person's lot. So because of that, financially, we couldn't do the deal, and the guy was just a jerk from the get-go. So I sent him a termination letter yesterday, saying, unfortunately, we've terminated, and here's a release of earnest money deposit. And I called him and said, unfortunately, because of these things, we are back. And he literally, it's a for sale by owner. And he literally lost his mind on me, and he's gonna call my boss and report me to the commission. I'm like, here's Kathy's number.
Yeah.
I'm actually free on Thursday or Friday if you wanna meet in person at the market center with Kathy. So we'll see how that goes today. So I'm pretty pumped actually, because I've never had that yet. That's my first one, so I'm kind of excited for it. Because again, I know what I did was right, you know, and again, I did it for my client. You know, the whole thing started with the fact that we did a water test, and there's high levels of uranium in the well, and he's like, well, I'm not putting a filtration system in.
And he's a for sale by owner?
And he's for sale by owner. Uranium in water will cause, like, cancer.
Yeah.
It was kidney cancer, kidney failure, there was another
big
cancer
deal.
that, and like the levels of this were like ridiculously high.
So he's
How
been
old is
drinking
he?
this all
No, it's a new build. He tore down like a camp,
along.
didn't replace the well, and built this big, beautiful $300,000 house, but it's completely messed up. So it's like, well, I'm not gonna I'm not putting a client into a house with that. And
How long's he been drinking uranium?
probably too long, because he lives in the same neighborhood. I should let him know that actually.
Don't drink the water in Phippsburg.
Or Wyndham
Yeah.
on the lake.
I used to work mental health day treatment in
Oh, yeah?
Phippsburg. Don't drink the water in
Yeah.
Phippsburg.
Yeah, it's so anyway. So yeah, not everyone likes me. That's the whole point of the story. Not everybody will. You know, some transactions will get a little wonky. You know, and I remember when I started out, I was like, oh, every deal's gonna close no matter what, because I'm great at what I do. Not every deal closes. And some of them will be really frustrated. And I will tell you, in the first 3.5 years, I think twice I've actually thought about quitting real estate, because it's like, it's emotionally draining. You're emotionally involved, but at the end of the day, you got to know that your client is even more emotionally involved, and some of the things they'll say to you and the way they'll treat you will be like their frustration level. And the key is literally talk them off the ledge. You know, no, I understand that you're frustrated, Paul, and you know, I'm also frustrated with this process, but unfortunately, it is what it is, and we're gonna have to terminate and find something different, because this person's being very difficult. And it's one of those things, sometimes you just have to be calm, cool, and collected. And you know, one of the things we talk about with Keller Williams is not only how do you see things, but how do they see things, and we'll be talking about that a little bit too. Question?
I talked to the agent that brought me here actually yesterday, and she mentioned to me that a lot of what she does is basically marriage counseling or family counseling, because you get a husband who wants one thing,
Yeah.
and a wife who, like, he's got one thing he has to have, and the wife has one thing she has to have, and their
Yeah.
budget's $300, and the only way you're going to get those two things together is at a $500,000
Right.
house. And there's a lot of that.
There is a lot of that, and as a real estate, you're a problem solver, you're a counselor, you're a beer drinking buddy after closings. I've had a conversation with a few people about, oh, let's meet at the bar and we'll sign the contract. It's like, no, professional, can't do that. After we sign the contract, then we'll have some beers. I have a degree in psychology and human services, which is huge in this job, because it's a lot of, it's huge, love it. Because you understand, where people are coming from. And again, it's that, how do you balance that out? She wants the suite master bathroom, but he wants the garage. It's like one or the other.
That's the example.
I know it is, because I've had those conversations multiple times in the last 3.5 years, and it's like, well, this is what it's going to cost to upgrade the bathroom, and this is what the cost is if you're going to add a garage later, and this is how you have to place it. So kind of brainstorming those ideas. A bathroom upgrade might be $5,000 right now, but if we have a house that already has a really nice bathroom and we have to add a garage later, the cost of a garage is like $20,000 plus. So do we do the $5,000 upgrade later, or do we do the $20,000 upgrade later? But there's the potential for both. And that's the key, is the potential. If you're going to live here for 5 to 10 years, maybe this isn't the right house for you, but if this is gonna be forever house, here's how you add the equity into this house. You add a garage, you upgrade your bathroom, you update your kitchen countertop. You know, people talk about, oh, these appliances are disgusting, I hate this house. It's like, well, first of all, appliances can go. Like, we're more concerned with the structure of the house. I always tell people the biggest things that we're looking for when we look at houses is, how's the roof? Because roofs are expensive. How's the foundation? Because if the foundation is junk, the house is gonna be junk. How's the furnace? Furnaces are expensive. Particularly to like first-time buyers. I mean, these are like $5,000 to $10,000 projects that we need to make sure if we're going to pay $200,000 for a house, that these main systems are all up to date. Electrical is another thing. You know, where I am up in Topsom and Bath and Brunswick, there's a lot of knob and tube wiring. If you know anything about electrical and knob and tube wiring, it's not okay. So when we go in to look at a house, if you see knob and tube wiring, I tell my people, okay, on to the next house, because that's a $15,000 project, and an insurance adjuster is going to come and look at this and like give us the middle finger because this house is horrible. So unless we get that adjusted, there's nothing we can really do here. And again, it's frustrating because it looks like a big, beautiful house, but if it has these issues, we can't, you know, it might not work for our financing.
Do you ever just try to go for some seller concessions in escrow for knob and tube?
Yeah, we have done that. There'll be a lot of times where we'll say, okay, we'll buy this, but you have to replace the wiring before we even get started.
Okay.
Or, you know, mortgage companies and appraisers don't like the escrow money post-closing for stuff like that, unless it's like conventional financing. But if it's like, I work with a lot of like FHA, RD, VA type loans, where it's like you can't do that. The only thing that they can escrow is like if it's like a painting issue on the exterior during the winter, or like a roof during the winter. I had somebody escrow money for a roof because it was the middle of the winter and they couldn't get up there and do the roof. So a lot of times escrow money, again, with conventional financing, it would be okay, but with a lot of stuff that I do, that wouldn't work. But we would go in, so when you fill out a purchase and sale agreement, there's what's called paragraph 26, where you can write in, you write in something. Our offer is X dollars and X closing. Paragraph 26 must replace knob and tube wiring by a certified electrician prior to close. And actually, we just had one where they had to replace the electrical panel because it was one of the panels that has been known to catch on fire. And so,
Federal Pacific.
yeah, that's the one. But it was one of those things where we actually wrote that in our purchase and sale, so that our offer, we're good to go. But from the get-go, you have to replace this electrical panel. And I only knew it because I followed my building inspector around 100 times, and he said, those panels catch on fire, it should be replaced. So when we were doing our first walkthrough of this house, to preview the house, I noticed it, and I'm like, well, I think that's the one that catches on fire. So I took a picture of it, and I sent it to my inspector, and he's like, those are fire hazards. So when we did our purchase and sale, I mean, we were a good offer, but you also have to replace this, and they came back and said, oh, what's the electric, that all about? I'm like, well, because I know those are the ones that catch on fire, so just from the get-go, just so we're all on the same page, communication's key, that has to be taken care of for us to buy this house. And they were like, good deal. So we were able to do that. But like the escrowing money gets complicated sometimes, so we're trying not to escrow if we can avoid it. Like I said, I'm not a lot of lenders like that, depending on the type of loan. So, any other questions, Brian, so far?
Do a lot of sellers resist that and say, please drive through, we'll wait for the next person to come look at it?
Yeah, so my guy who's gonna call today, we negotiated the price down significantly from where it was, because it was way overpriced. And then when we did our water test, it came back with uranium, and we said, you know, you gotta put our system in. He's like, nope, I'll just put it back on the market. And it's like, the house that's already been on the market like 90 days at that price point, Wyndham, good luck. Yeah. And at that point, we actually sent him the termination paperwork, because again, uranium's a big deal. And he came back, he's like, okay, fine, I'll put the water system in, but the seller's gonna have to increase her offer. It's like, that's not how that works either. And so I've had a lot of that where we've gone post-inspection and said, either you fix this or we're done. And a lot of people try to negotiate back either half that, or no, they're not gonna do it, or some people are great and they'll say, yeah, we'll do that. Because again, it's a safety issue. You know, if it was something silly like peeling paint, or like the handle on the drawer was loose, we're not gonna say you gotta fix those things. It's the major systems that need to be fixed. You know, I just did a building inspection up in Casco, again, nowhere near where I live. And the house has been empty, so when we turned on all the plumbing and had the watering, it was like leaking in a bunch of joints. Again, is it cracked? No, but the seals are probably all cracked inside the plumbing. So like, that's not really a safety thing. So we're like, and my guy's kind of handy, so he's like, well, I'll take care of that. But the other thing that we did was, you know, with our inspection, he went around and put his little meter in every outlet to see if they were grounded right, and they weren't. Most of them were reversed, like the hot and neutral were reversed. So we said, you know what, so at my request for repairs, I said, okay, the plumbing was leaking, but we can take care of that, but this electrical needs to be addressed by a certified electrician. And you always say certified electrician, you want a receipt. Because if I send that to Paul, and Paul's brother, who went to trade school for a month and dropped out, thinks he can do it,
Right.
he's gonna have Paul's gonna have his brother do it. I need a certified electrician to take care of that. Like, I need a certified septic inspection. I need some sort of literature saying this was done by a professional, not Paul's cousin who went to trade school for a week and dropped out. So.
And by getting the receipt from that, that would say certified?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So you want certified and a receipt for all work requested. Question?
So you've been working with this person for a while, and he doesn't wanna replace the water system, and just say he's a hypothetical guy.
Yep.
And just say your red flags start to come on, and you actually really don't like this guy, and maybe you're starting to worry about how he can affect your reputation. When, have you had breakups? Have you broken up with your clients yet?
I've had a breakup with multiple clients.
Really?
I have. It's hard at first, because you want business, and you want real estate, and you want to make money, and you want to help people. I've had a couple people where I said, you know what, this person is unreasonable with their requests. You know, I have one buyer who, didn't matter which house we looked at, it's worth $50,000 less than their asking price, and that's where we should make our offer on the first day on the market. And I've said, you know what, if you're not gonna really take this serious, I can't either.
You're wasting your time.
You know, and it's, you know, I would never refer them out to another person either, because it makes you look like a jerk to the person you just referred to, because now you're dealing with my headache.
Right.
And you're gonna find out this guy's a real jerk, and it's like, thanks a lot, Rick. Nothing. So I wouldn't even refer him to anybody at that point. I said, you know what, unfortunately, with my schedule right now, we're gonna have to just kinda end our agreement, and you're more than welcome to go find another agent to work with on this project, because, and again, it stinks, and the other thing that was really hard at first, and you guys will find, it's hard to say no to people. If somebody says, Rick, I wanna go look at a house tomorrow at, 3 in the afternoon, and I have, my daughter's softball games at 3:30, I'm like, okay, if I get there at 3, I leave there by 3:20, I'll get to the softball game a little bit late, that'll be okay, that's fine. And I did that at first, and it's hard because you want the business. But then I kind of developed the self-confidence to say to people, unfortunately I'm not available tomorrow at 3. I could either do 1:30 or I could do 5. Which one would work better for you? If neither one of those works, okay, what's your schedule look like on Thursday or Friday? It's hard to say no to people though, because you want the business, you want to be active, but at the same time you have to have that balance of work and life, kid activities or weekends away with your family, whatever it is. And I'm just getting to the point where, probably about the last year or so that I've started saying no to people. And again, I don't ever say no to somebody, I'm just not available. I can either do Saturday or Monday. Like, my biggest thing as a real estate agent, not to scare you guys, I hate working weekends and I hate working evenings. And real estate is all about working weekends and working evenings. And it's like, why didn't I think of this before? That's the problem with real estate for me. So what I've done is I've kind of set myself up on a schedule where, like, a lot of my lead generation I actually do on Monday and Tuesday. And I don't do a lot of appointments on Monday and Tuesday. It's a lot of lead gen and paperwork and random appointments maybe on Monday or Tuesdays, but I try not to schedule stuff. A lot of my appointments are like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then when it comes to the weekend, I'll work either Saturday or Sunday, but I don't ever work both days of the weekend. And there have been times where I have worked both days of the weekend, but it might be because I just took the weekend before completely off, so it's that balance of life that you need to schedule some time off on top. But again, it's very hard at first because you're like, I just want to go, but you will burn out at that point. And like for me, like I said, I'm getting to the point where I'm actually helping people are helping me with like showings and stuff like that because that's how busy I've gotten. But again, it's back to the whole database thing. So you just have to balance it out a little bit. So, is there another question? Did you have a question? No? Okay. Okay, so there's that. Let me just kind of look through this Ignite course. So any questions about this thing, about the tracker sheet? So basically what you do is just go make yourself a whole bunch of copies of this, and you can track it, or you can kind of like design this like a Google Doc form. Might be a little bit easier to kind of keep updated. I'm a huge paper person, and then I'll probably put this on the computer, but if I do it a couple times, it just kind of keeps it top of mind for me, so that's why I have this.
What's this top box here mean?
Which one's that? Which box are you looking at?
Like this, it says like tithing, taxes, living expenses. On one day.
To be honest, I've never used that.
Oh.
So this comes from MAPS Coaching, which I'm not a part of yet, gonna be. So I don't know what that's, I think they want you to track like everything you do that day. Like, if you went out and bought something, or if you went to Staples, or you went to lunch, or if you had a transaction, how much are you supposed to put away for taxes? And back to being a sole entrepreneur, you're responsible for it all. So like, I have myself set up in Quicken. I have Rick Dow, then I have Team Dow Real Estate. So all my real estate transactions are in my Quicken system, so I know exactly what I should be paying in taxes on a basis of transaction or per quarter. I think that's what that's all about.
Right.
But to be honest, thank you for asking, but again, I don't know. I'll get some clarity on that though. So yeah, so there's that. Question?
So you do have a team? I thought you had said you were working as a solo agent.
No, I'm a solo agent. What I have, so like I do all my own paperwork, I do my own lead generation. What I've been using is somebody as what's called a showing assistant. So, where I have, right now I've closed 6 deals this year already. I have 7 deals pending. And I have, I think like 8 or 10, like what I would say will be A buyers. Like if the house hit the market today, I have 8 people who would actually go out and look at it today. So if what happens is somebody will call me and say, I want to go look at a house at 5 o'clock today, I'd be like, let's do it. But then somebody else calls and says, hey, can I look at I want to look at a house at 5 o'clock tonight. I'd be like, oh crap, I can't do 2 places at once. So what I've done is I'm using a young lady at the market center as a showing assistant. She can't negotiate. Literally all she can do is go in, open the door, print out the paperwork, and give it to them. These clients all know that if an offer is going to get made, they have to come to me for it. She can't even suggest a price. Like if she goes into a house and says, oh, I think this house is worth X, so she can't do that. And she knows she can't do that. So she's like she's basically just opening doors for me. And what I do is I pay her per transaction. So like one of my clients, the one in Casco, she helped them quite a bit because she's kind of helped that direction. So she worked with these people a lot. But I went to the building inspection, I wrote the offer, I did the negotiations, but at the end of the transaction, she's gonna get like 25% of that commission, literally for driving around showing these people, I think like 5 houses and opening doors for them. But again, it saved me because while she was doing that with this couple last weekend, I was with another couple and I wrote an offer for them as well. So by having that extra person, I was able to write 2 offers in one weekend. So so it's not technically a team, she's just helping me with showings. Eventually I'll get to a point where I'll have a team, and that's kind of what I'm working on for 2019 is, okay, I need to get established with like an assistant and buyers and stuff like that, but work in progress. Slow but steady. Any other questions? Good. Alright, so we're still on this. Build your business, we talked about that. Get started. So does everybody have their Ignite book with them? Talked about the mission. Joe talked about that, right? Mission, all that. The reporting. Capper and Training talks about, home previews. How many people in here have done home previews yet? Couple? Good.
I've done what?
Home previewing?
Yeah.
Like just going out and look at homes. So for the people who haven't, it's a really good activity to do for a number of reasons. First of all, it gets you looking at real estate. Because what will happen is, if you have a particular area, so like for me, it's Topsom and Brunswick and Bath. So anytime like a newer house hits the market, I try to get into it like right away, just so I can go see what that house is about. So then when I start calling my friends, neighbors, or contacts, and they say, hey, what about that house at 123 Main Street? I was thinking that might be a good house. I can actually go back to them and say, you know what? I've looked at that house. That house is great. It's got beautiful flooring. It's got a nice kitchen. The bathroom's a little kind of funky, but that can be fixed. Or I can say, you know what? I've looked at that house. It's a train wreck. It's like trick photography. It's a tear down. I'll still show it to you, but I don't know if that's what you're going to be looking for. So again, knowing where my clients are looking, I will time block some activity time during my day to actually just go look at it just by myself. You know, and you'll get to a point where you can get in and out of the house in like 15, 20 minutes when you're by yourself. You know, and again, you're just kind of having an idea of what that house is all about. So that way, if somebody ever asks you about it, you can say, oh, well, I've seen that house. Because two things, it makes you look like the expert. Like, your clients or your friends are going to be like, wow, she's going out looking at real estate all the time. Wow, she must be really busy. I should probably sign a contract with her. Like, yeah, you really should. And the other thing, again, the second thing is it just gives you that experience of looking at real estate. You know, the more houses you look at, the better. I had a client yesterday, I showed her 2 houses in Brunswick, and they were both really nice, but they weren't the house. And so I was like, all right, well, do a drive-by of this neighborhood and that neighborhood. If those are houses you want to look at, like tomorrow or Thursday, we can go do that. So she texted me last night and said, you know, we drove by those 2 neighborhoods. We don't like those neighborhoods, but we want to look at this other house. Oh, and we're sorry you wasted your time today looking at the first 2 houses. I texted her back, never a waste of my time looking at houses. Because for 2 reasons. First of all, the next person who calls me out of the blue and says, hey, what about that house? I can be like, I looked at that house. This is what I think of it. The other thing is, it's never a waste of time to show people houses, because now you know, now I know what they don't want in a house. And like these 2 houses we looked at, same thing. One didn't have a garage, and the other one had like water stains in the basement. So it's like, now I know what those houses are, and I know what these people are going to be looking for, you know, and for them, they want that garage. So the other thing is, when they call me tomorrow to say, look at these houses on Thursday or Friday, and one of them doesn't have a garage, I can text her back or call her back and be like, you know, I know when we looked at that house on Tuesday, you said a garage is an absolute 100% must. The house you just asked to go look at doesn't have a garage, so are we really okay with that before we go out and take a look at it? And they're going to be like, yeah, because we can add a garage later. I'm going to say, you know what, you're right, it doesn't have a garage, and I don't want to build one later. I'll tell them, I'll still go show it to you, but I just know that was a conversation that we had. And again, it's not a waste of my time, because now that I look at that house, now I've looked at 3 houses with these people, that I can say, okay, now I know what those 3 houses look like for the next client. Or I can say, okay, well, it didn't have a garage, but it had a like kick butt kitchen, and they're like, you know what, we'll forget the garage because now we have this kick butt kitchen. So again, you just don't know, but that's always a good question for them. And say, well, I know when we looked at the first one, it was the garage thing, and this doesn't have a garage. You sure you still want to go look at that? Because that's, you know, that's a pretty big deal, particularly in Maine. So definitely having those conversations with people.
Do you ever ask your clients to drive by, because some of them are so concerned about their neighborhood and what the street looks like?
I do. I would. Particularly if it's far away from me. If it's Brunswick, Topsom, Bath, Bodenham, where I live, so you should go check it out. I don't care what the neighborhood looks like. But like this gentleman, Casco, who Lava showed houses to, I said, go do a drive-by first, because that's like way out in no man's land. And if you're really committed to this house, go drive by it first, and if you like the neighborhood, then we'll go take a look at it. And he did, and we did, and now it's under contract. You know, I had the same thing. I had a buyer who was looking like in Brunswick and Lisbon, and so they were like great, gung ho, and then they text me one day and they're like, we're thinking about this house up in Mexico, Maine. I'm like, what the hell's Mexico, Maine? They're like, Rumford, thank you. And I was like, go do a drive-by. I'm not driving hour and a half. I think from my house it was like an hour and 20 minutes. And it was just one house in Rumford. I'm like, go do a drive-by, and if you like it, I'll go. And they did drive by. They liked it. We went to look at it. That was the house they bought. And again, I drove to Rumford twice because we drove up there to look at it. Then the day of inspections, I did my town check, property check at the town hall, and inspection on the same day. And then our closing was in Auburn. So I only had to drive to Mexico. Actually, I've gone 3 times because I went back after closing because they did a whole bunch of renovation to it. And so they're like, oh, what can we sell our house for now? They're thinking about putting their house on the market this summer already. And they were like one of my first clients. I think they're probably the 14th. But yeah, I know. I was like, I'm going to refer that one out. Anyone here from Mexico? Anyone?
I will be.
Awesome. But again, it's one of those things where I would make people do a drive-by if it's outside my circle. And like,
So it's not a faux pas, it's totally fine.
not a faux pas at all. The other thing is, as a real estate agent, we'll travel. My car is a 2018 Highlander, so I've had it for just about a year and a half, and it has 46,000 miles on it already.
Wow.
Have real estate, will travel.
So what podcast do you like?
Yeah, I know.
The One Thing podcast. We'll talk about that too.
Oh, cool.
I will typically travel an hour outside of my house for showings. Anything further than that, it's got to be like, go do a drive-by first. But like for me in Topsom, like Portland's only a half hour. So for me, like I'll go to Biddeford or Saco, but I would want to do like 2 or 3 showings at once.
Right.
Or a listing. I would do a listing appointment. So like the couple I showed a house to on yesterday, they're actually selling a house in Biddeford to move to the Brunswick Topsom area. And that person is somebody I knew from Oakhurst. Just kept in touch. We're Facebook buddies. They see me doing real estate and they know I love my dogs, and they saw Captain Marvel, and then they reached out and said, hey, we want to sell our house, move to Brunswick Topsom. I didn't contact them, they contacted me. They just know I do real estate. But again, I made it a point when I first got started to make sure everyone knew I did real estate. And then again, I don't post every single post on Facebook about real estate. It's my dogs, my kids, my boat, real estate, whatever, skiing, real estate, again, but it keeps people top of mind. Again, people who are on Facebook now, everything is real estate related. It's like, I want to see, what people are doing on vacation or whatever. I don't want to just see houses all the time. And again, Facebook, it gets saturated with that. People are sick of it, quite frankly. It's like you're always advertising. You don't always advertise yourself. Show them that you are a person that you go out with your wife or husband or whatever. You're hanging out with your kids. You're going to a softball game, but at the same time, I have this open house on Saturday. Making it kind of quick and easy that way. So yeah, definitely. So the One Thing, we'll talk about that real quick. So the One Thing is a book, and it talks about time blocking. And there's a podcast called The One Thing Podcast. And I think right now they're up to like, I forget how many episodes, but I think I've pretty much listened to all of them.
How many episodes?
It's got to be like close to 100 episodes.
Oh, wow, okay.
They got to be right there. Where's my phone? But it's something I listen to all the time, and they're really good. They're on episode 169.
What page is this in the book?
This is not in the book.
Oh,
This is just
okay.
kind of separate conversation. So you want to read the One Thing book,
Yeah.
but also listen to the One Thing podcast. And it talks, the One Thing book is all about time blocking.
Is that Jeff Woods?
Yes. It's about time blocking and the domino effect. And the domino effect is if you line up a single domino, a 2-inch domino, it knocks over a 3-inch domino. A 3-inch domino knocks over a 4.5-inch domino. And it just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think by like the 15th domino, it's like the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And at some point, it's taller than Mount Everest. And by like the 34th, it can actually touch the earth. Like that's the effect of the dominoes. It goes back to that original 2-inch domino though. the activity to get you to where you wanna go is a stupid, simple 2-inch domino, which is lead generation, which is what we talk about a ton in real estate. Lead generation is all about using the people you already know. You know, why reinvent the wheel and do all this like activities when all you have to do is make contacts with the people you know. You know, and then every week you should be adding new people to your database, whether you're going to a networking event, you know, you're out meeting other realtors. One of my intentions for this year, being in year 3, basically year 4 now, God, I feel old, is adding people to my downline, you know, adding other agents. So like, my goal this year is out of my 40 transactions, I want to get at least 12 people to Keller Williams who I've had transactions with. So that's my kind of one thing for this year. Not only do I need to hit my 40 transactions, but I want to recruit more people to Keller Williams to increase my downline, because I was in a class yesterday here and it was talking about profit share. I don't know, you know, if you guys don't know a whole lot about profit share, you should definitely learn about it, because the average capper is worth about $4,000 to your downline. So like next year when Paul caps, I'll get $4,000 just because Paul's with Keller Williams. So like right now I have 3 people in my downline in my first level, Paul being one of them. So if I can get to like 12 to 15 people in that first line over the next year or so, times $4,000 a person on average, why would I not do that? So that's kind of what I'm working on, is my one thing. But for you guys starting out, not only should you be thinking about that idea, but time blocking your phone calls and your contacts. So like, I'm old school, I keep a paper calendar. I'm not real tech savvy by any means, although we're gonna talk about Command in a little bit. Is time block when you're gonna make your phone calls, and how many phone calls are you gonna make? And then holding yourselves accountable to that. So I would imagine Joe's having you guys do like what, 100 calls, 100 contacts a week, is that about right?
60.
60, okay, so if you're doing 60, when are you gonna do those 60? Have you decided when you're gonna do your 60 calls? Do you have to do them here, or can you just do them anywhere?
I mean, I rented a desk in the PC coaching.
Okay, good, so.
That's usually most productive area to do calls, is in there.
So what days do you do your calls on?
Every day.
At what time?
8:30 to 11:30, and then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do it like 1:30 to 3:30.
So you're doing it 5 days a week?
Yeah.
60
Sometimes on
phone
Saturdays or Sundays if I don't make my quota.
Alright, so that's 15, no, not even 15, right? It's like what?
12 a day.
12 a day, and it takes you 3 hours. You're having long conversations, right?
Yeah.
It's that though, it's breaking it down to that number. And if for some reason in that 3 hours you don't get to your 12 contacts, you only get to 8, where do you make up the other 4?
Handing out business cards at other businesses, of people
Good.
that I meet on the street.
Good. Get some Keller Williams gear. Go shop, stand in line at Hannaford. Go pick up your kids at softball practice, baseball, whatever. Wear the gear, because people will literally come out of the woodwork and find you. Oh, you're a real estate agent. How's the market right now? It's great. Why do you ask? Here's my card. Do you have a business card? Let me grab that too. Let's plan a coffee for sometime next week. Perfect. That's an easy touch. Because again, when you're wearing gear, people love real estate. It drives my wife nuts. Because whenever we go anywhere, people are like, oh, how's real estate? And she'll be like, don't talk real estate. It's not a work thing. And I'm like, I never, like, people come to me. So I've gotten to the habit where, like, I always wear button-down shirts with a pocket. I'll be like, hey, call me next week. We'll go for coffee. Talk real estate. Because again, I don't want to talk real estate all the time. But let's say, you know what? We're at my kid's birthday party. My wife's going to kill me if I talk real estate. Let's grab a coffee next week. Let me call. You know?
It does get intense. I have to I consider myself an extroverted introvert. So
Yeah.
like there will be days where I just like hide under my blankets for an hour, just without a telephone, put on like an episode of Seinfeld and just not think at all for a second.
It's funny. One of the things I actually, like, when I'm working from home, so like on Mondays and Tuesdays, Mondays I'm always working at home, and then I go pick up my kids and I hang out with my kids. And then on Tuesday, I have my B&I group in the morning, then I go home. And I try not, those are my 2 days of lead generation. So my lead generation is Monday and Tuesday. So Monday I start my day out by cooking the books, as I call it, updating my accounts for the weekend, because usually it's debauchery on the weekend. Cook the books, and then I do lead generation with contact Facebook. And again, I don't call people, because people don't expect phone calls in the middle of the morning on a Monday, so it's easier to message them or send emails. You know, I don't spam people with emails. I have a monthly newsletter I have set up through the KW. I'm still converting from eEdge to Command. I've converted all my contacts over, but eEdge still sends out my monthly newsletter as of right now because Command's not ready for that. So like I get a monthly newsletter sent out, and then one of the things that I'll do, part of my lead generation, is I'll go on Facebook and find out who has birthdays this week. And then I'll reach out to the 4 or 5 people that I actually want to talk to. Say, hey, let's go grab a coffee this week. Happy birthday. Be like a birthday coffee date. People love that. They're like, oh Jesus, that's a cool idea. It's simple, and I love coffee. So it's like, it's a win-win for everybody. And people are like, oh shit, Rick knew it was my birthday this week. No, I didn't. It was on Facebook. That's how I knew it was your birthday this week. But yet I'll text them and say, hey, I know it's your birthday week. Let's go grab coffee on Thursday. Right. People love that because, again, it's simple. It's an easy touch. And it's people I want to talk to. That one guy might have a birthday this week. I'm not contacting him for coffee because he's a giant
You don't want to talk about
meanie
that?
head.
Yeah.
But I'll contact the 3 or 4 people that I'm like, that's somebody I can relate with. That's somebody who I should have coffee with because our kids are friends, or it's somebody I went to high school with, or it's somebody from college, or it's another real estate agent from a different company. Hey, you ever thought about Keller Williams? You know, again, it's that intention of time blocking those appointments for the end of my week. And that's one of the things that I think has helped me be fairly successful at this, is that I have that intention of my Monday, Tuesday builds the rest of my week. And like, on usually about Tuesday or Wednesday, my wife would be like, what's your schedule this weekend? Because I determine it between Monday and Tuesday what my weekend is going to look like. So she knows not to really ask me about my schedule until Tuesday or Wednesday. What's the plan for the weekend? Whether we're grocery shopping or going away, whatever. That's, by Wednesday I'll know what my week looks like. So, you had a question, Rita?
I was just curious, B&I stuff to get in, how were you able to find that opening?
I stepped in a pile of crap and landed on a diamond. I was extremely lucky with my B&I group. What happened was, I got my license in September, and in January, the woman who was in my B&I chapter as a realtor left because she got too busy. And I had a friend who, again, wasn't somebody who I was best friends with, but it was a friend of a friend who had met at a party. She knew I was doing real estate. She reached out to me and said, hey Rick, I know you're getting started in real estate. I'm part of this B&I group that meets every Tuesday. Our realtor just left, and there's only one realtor per group. You need to come to this meeting if you want to be serious in real estate. And I'm like, what the hell is B&I? Like, I have no idea what this is. I'm like, all right, well, I'll go. At the time, I was still doing Okers, so like the schedule just didn't work. I'm like, well, do you have to go to like every meeting? And that's one of the things, that you have to go to every meeting. She's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll go to this one. So I called out on Okers. I think I took a vacation day. Went to the meeting. At the very first meeting, the president of our chapter, Liz Wyman, said, hey, Rick, actually, I'm thinking I need to buy a piece of land out in Phippsburg, actually, of all places. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I literally just met this woman. I was like, she doesn't know me from anybody. And she wants me to find her a piece of land. Again, transaction would be like $1,800. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm signing up for B&I. So I literally lucked into it. And when I came back to the office that day, the team leader, who was Brad Knowles at the time, I said, Brad, what's the deal with B&I? And he's like, where? And I was like, in Bath. And he said, if you don't join, you're a moron. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll join. So 3 years later, that I've been part of my B&I chapter, I bet, out of the 90 transactions, I bet 30 have come out of my B&I chapter. And again, it's people I know. These are the people I use. These are the people who use me. And it's one connection away. You know, every person in that chapter has access to 400 plus people that they know that we're not in the same sphere network. Liz Wyman, our chapter president, has probably about 2,000 people that she knows in Bath. Like, that's where she's from, and she just knows everybody in Bath. So when anyone asks her about real estate, who does she pick? Me. So that's how I literally lucked into it. Go to them and visit them just to see how it works. You can actually get yourself on a wait list for BNI, or they'll email you when there's an opening for a particular like profession, but they're extremely hard to get into. The way around that is start a chapter. I mean, it's a process, and it might be almost overwhelming at some points. I've never had to start a chapter, but usually that's how real estate agents get into chapters, is they actually start a whole new chapter. So it'd be something worth investigating at some point. Again, it's time consuming, I mean, but again, it's a good time consuming. So like one of my 4 coffee dates every week is somebody from BNI, whether it be the lender or the insurance person, the electrician. The electrician has been to my house, so like you'll have a lot of electrical issues in real estate. I always say, let's do a price reduction and we'll just use our electrician later, because this person I'm gonna refer you to is the person that does stuff at my house. That's how much I trust this person with electrical, because electrical is obviously a huge fire hazard. So that's something I always do. So yeah, BNI has just been like amazing to be a part of. You know, like I said, you get a ton out of it, but they're extremely hard. And I just got extremely lucky with my chapter. It was actually the point where I had to go back to Oakhurst and say, okay, I'm not working Tuesdays anymore. And they're like, okay, well, then you'll have to start working Saturdays. And I'm like, no, Saturday's real estate day, so I'm actually only going to work 4 days a week. So I actually ended up burning all my vacation days to have that Tuesday off so I could have a regular paycheck. And then when I ran out of vacation days, Oakhurst came back to me and said, okay, Saturdays or Tuesdays. And I was like, no, I'm just going to work 4 days a week now. They're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll give my 2-week notice. And they're like, okay, we'll let you do 4 days a week. And I ended up staying at Oakhurst. I could have left sooner, but I stayed because of the end of the school year, because I did a lot of deliveries for local schools in Portland. So that's why I stayed as long as I did. I probably could have left Oakhurst in June, or back in April, but I ended up leaving in June because of the school thing. But again, it was one of those things I didn't want to kind of burn my bridge in case real estate didn't work out. But now it's to the point I have a commercial truck driver's license. My license expires in 2020. When I have to go renew it, I'm not renewing my commercial driver's license because I don't want it. I don't, you know, it's that whole burn the bridge. You know, if you have a plan B, plan A doesn't work. So I'm just going to eliminate plan B from my life at this point. I feel I've done well enough and know what I'm doing well enough that I don't need a backup plan anymore. So, and you'll get to that point, and you know, and it's hard, and there's a lot of activities, and people see real estate agents as, you know, kind of easy going, and it's easy money. It's not at all. I mean, you have to do these activities to get there. But again, Joe will show you exactly how to do it, though. That's the beauty of this thing. I mean, Gary Keller, who wrote most of these books, the system's there. You just have to follow it, you know, and it's all about following systems and time blocking, and you'll be okay.
Rick, how long were you sound wicked busy, how long were you with Keller Williams before you took a class like this?
So how many people, so Joe was talking about Bold earlier today. So I got my license in September, and I think the middle of September I went to Bold. And I had no idea what anyone was talking about. I was just like, what are you even saying? Like, I had no idea. But what I did was I went to Bold on Tuesdays. I went to, because I started BNI in January, so Bold in September was on Tuesdays. So literally, Tuesday was like my one short day at work, my other work. So I was able to do that and then get to Bold on time. So I did Bold right away, like literally right out of the gate.
Is that like an intensive
week
thing?
No, it's every Tuesday, but it's an all day Tuesday class.
Okay.
It's like from I think 8:30 to 3 or 3:30.
It's Thursdays this year.
It's Thursdays, this session coming up. And then I just took Bold back in September.
Yeah, we did.
Of this year, yeah. And Bold's awesome. I love Bold. I still actually have my Bold bracelet on.
Nice.
You know, they'll give you this bracelet to kind of remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. And if you start to have like doubts or poor mindset, just flick it. And I kept mine on because in bold they'll talk about goal setting, and I leave mine on until I reach my goal. I haven't reached my goal yet, and I haven't told anyone my goal yet. So my kids and my wife are like, "Why do you still wear that? The bold's over." And it's like, because I haven't reached my goal yet. It's just one of those personal things that I do. But bold is huge. It's expensive, and if financing is the problem, talk to the market center. You know, there's ways around how much it costs. It is expensive though.
How much is it?
It's like, I think $799.
$800.
Yeah.
$800.
It's probably the best $800 you'll spend though, because when I took it in September and got over in December, and I had 5 closings in January because of bold.
Wow.
Because of all the contacts. So they'll make you do 100 contacts a week. They'll teach you the scripts. They'll get you with the mindset of why you're doing what you're doing and your big why. And mine's $66,000, and Hannah and Emma, and Kristen, when she's sleeping. And that's my mindset. It's like, okay, I'm doing this for somebody else.
So those were all 100 contacts on the phone?
Again,
Or a combination?
Combination. They
Okay,
want
so-
contacts on the phone.
But they were okay with that?
They're
as long
okay
as
with the
you
idea.
made
As
100?
long as you're making 100, not 100 phone calls.
Yeah,
100 contacts. So if I call 100 people but only 50 answer the phone, that's only 50 contacts. I need to talk to literally 100 people. But they'll teach you how to do what's called a bold 100. And a bold 100 is literally 100 contacts in one day. So I know one person on Black Friday stood outside a Target handing out hand warmers and her card. And she made 100 contacts doing that. Another woman went to a football game, her son's high school football game. 100 cards and 100 hand warmers. That's how she made her 100 contacts.
Just like someone be like, oh, thanks, and walk
Yeah.
off.
But they have your contact. Here, I'm a real estate agent. If you have any questions, you can call, enjoy the game. It's 100 contacts. Because all it takes is one person say, oh shit, you're in real estate? I gotta sell my house. Here, let's talk tomorrow morning. $6,000 right there. The average commission's probably $6,500 now. All you need is one person that's a $6,500 transaction. That's it. It's not hard. The activity's time consuming, but it's not hard. It's the paperwork and everything else that gets a little more difficult. So yeah, I mean, bold is really big. The other thing that I did from the start was I went to all the CEU classes and all the class contract series. I did the Ignite series. Scripts and role playing. If you haven't started going to scripts and role playing, I know Joe's hardcore about that, go to it. Because it makes a huge difference. Because it's going to make that awkward, real estate's awesome, call me. You have to think about it. But when you start doing scripts and role playing, it becomes a lot smoother. So a gentleman who's in the PC program right now, Joe Lillard, who's also in my downline, he and I script and role play twice a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, he calls me with a script, whether it be a for sale by owner, circle prospecting, cold call, whatever. Last week he called me because he had called me a month ago and I hadn't returned his phone call yet, so he was doing a follow-up phone call to me. And it's from the first couple of times, we just started this probably about 2 months ago, right when, probably 3 months ago, because it was right when Bold got out and wanted to start doing this. And the first couple of times, there was a lot of but where now it's like fluid conversation, and he's not particularly asking me for business, but who I know for business. And that's the other thing is, when you start talking to the people you know, unless it's a renter, you want to be calling people not to ask them for business, but who do you know that I can help? Because if I say, Paul, who in your neighborhood has thought about selling their house? If it's him, he's going to say, oh, you know, actually, I'm thinking about selling my house. Or he's going to say, oh, it's my friend Jeff or Josh or whoever. Or he's going to say, I can't think of anybody who's selling my house right now. You know, great, thank you for taking time to think about that. So again, it's those phone calls and the conversation and making it flow better, which is why scripts and role playing is so important. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays here, is that right? Go to that, because it makes a huge difference. You'll feel it, in your conversations with people.
What time is it, Rick?
I think 9:30?
8:30.
8:30?
In the
Yeah.
PC room.
Yeah, 8:30 in the PC room, Tuesdays and Thursdays. That made a huge difference in doing that as well. And it was funny actually when I got started, because I was doing my other career, I think Tammy had it from like 8 to 9. And then you'd go right into lead generation. And I remember when I got started and I met with her, it was like, well, I can't be here because of my other job. She's like, what time can you be here? And I was like, I can probably be here by like 10. She's like, okay. Everyone, we're moving scripts of role playing from 10 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm like, shit, now I have to go. Because she literally just moved it for me to make me go.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I don't know who just said, but I mean, it was like, shit, she really cares.
Well, no, that was nice of her.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was
Yeah.
just like, now I have to go because this woman just moved this class for me. Everyone was going to be in the room anyway. She just changed it so you're going to do lead generation and then do scripts of role playing and then go back to lead generation for me. And I'm like, it was more of the accountability piece. I'm like, crap, now I can't just go home and sleep. I gotta actually go to Keller Williams and do some lead gen. Damn it. But again, it makes a huge difference, you know, and that's the beauty about the Keller Williams model. Not to get off topic, which I completely off topic. Keller Williams wants you to be successful. If you ever have questions, Joe is the resource, or Charlotte is an awesome resource. The ALC, the John Hatchers, the Rick Dows, the Ancient Chets, Nick Danbury's, everyone in this office wants you to be successful. And I know Paul and I have had this conversation because when you're successful, Keller Williams is successful. And when Keller Williams, which has the majority of the market share, it just makes us look like a better company to do real estate with. You know, and like right now, Keller Williams is in the process of opening an office in the Brunswick Topsom area, which is going to be completely awesome for me. And people are like, yeah, but there'll be more like competition, Keller Williams. I'm like, different circles. You know, I don't know the same people that some of those agents know. But when people see Keller Williams popping up, the people that I know, they're like, damn, Rick really joined a really good company because they're huge up here now. So to me, it's a benefit for Keller Williams to continue to grow and expand. So anytime you guys get listings, it helps me because I have a ton of buyers. Or if you have buyers, I have like 5, 6 listings coming up. So I need you guys to do your job so I can do my job. So I don't see it as a competition. It's like a shared thing where we're all going to work together, you know, and like the person who I replaced in my B&I group, she'll come back once in a while as a substitute, but her clientele is completely different from my clientele. My clientele is first-time buyers, young couples. She's selling like $600,000 houses on the water in like Pittsburgh and Hartswood. So we're two completely different real estate agents. She, you know, wears pearl necklaces and like, you know, a pound of makeup and hairspray and stuff. I'm like rolling up my sleeves thinking, all right, let's go crawl in this basement. It's gonna be awesome. Two different styles of real estate. So when she comes back, I tell her, talk about yourself because I can't do everything. I need help from other people to do what I do. So, you know, same thing in here. I think about like the people who started when I started. There's probably like 4 or 5 of us who we all kind of brainstorm stuff together, even now after 3 years of graduating out of the PC program, that we still, on a regular basis, talk to each other. Get to know each other in this room, because these are the people you're going to be brainstorming ideas with and troubleshooting things with. And again, if you have questions about stuff, you always call Joe or Charlotte, or call somebody from the ALC. Me, Nick, and people like that. Because again, we want you all to be successful here. Which I, you know, and again, I've never worked for another brokerage, so I don't know what it's like at like the Remaxes or anywhere else. I just know what this system looks like, and I really, really like this system. And like, I'm actually part of the education committee. Part of my ALC duties is I'm the chair of the education committee, so I'm all about bringing people in to help teach you guys. So like, the Facebook guy will be back in September. We have career visioning in April. We have, we refer to them as big rocks of real estate that will come in. You know, we had Linda McKissick yesterday talk about profit share yesterday, and there's probably 10, 12 people on here yesterday, but it was like, I think out of the 12 people, 4 of us were on the ALC that were in this room. Like, those are the type of classes, even as new agents, you should be here for those things. If you have the time, you should be, speaking of that, Dottie Bowe's calling me right now, who's the owner of the Market Center. Be an interesting conversation later. But again, come to all the classes. Even if you think it doesn't pertain to you, if you have the time, lock into your schedule, go to class. Because again, you're probably not real busy in real estate. So if you're not busy in real estate, you should be busy learning real estate. And that's one of the things that I did. So, did you have a question or not?
No.
Okay, alright. Okay, so the contacts, note cards. So one of the things people talk about is doing the note cards. One of the bold activities that you'll do, if you do bold, is you write down one person from the alphabet, whether it be auto mechanic or boiler service technician or car repair. You know, if you go through the alphabet and literally A through Z, you find one profession. You go through the phone book. Again, cold calling, hate it. It's when you're trying to add to your database. So if somebody doesn't have a lot of people in your database, this is how you're going to add them. So they'll tell you to go through with some note cards and write down A. Who do I know? What profession starts with A? Should I have in my database, whether it be a mechanic? So like for me, when somebody moves to Brunswick or Topsom, I'll let them know, hey, if your car ever breaks down, go over to Lee Tire in Topsom. They're really good. That's where I get my car service. Or, you know, go to Lee Toyota. That's another place that I'll send people to. Or, you know, you have a boiler system or your furnace is on the fritz. Call Hampton Hughes. You know, you want to be able to have these contacts as resources. Maybe they become clients, but you'll have them for other clients. So, like, you know, I was talking earlier about like a landscaper, you know, or a small repair guy, you know, small construction at home. Find these people to add to your database. That way, when something comes up, you can say, I have a person for that. I have a guy for that. And that's one of the things that brings value to your clients, both new clients and past clients. So like, out of my 90 contacts, I mean, that's 90 easy phone calls or 89 easy phone calls that I can call people and say, how's it going? What do you need? Because they already know me, so I'm not going to go into my whole script. I'm going to say, what do you need this? You know, what's going on at home? You need a babysitter? Great, I can find you a babysitter. Oh, you need, you know, you're looking for a job somewhere? I have all these contacts that might be able to find you a new job. I mean, whatever the situation is, have somebody in mind when you're making that phone call. And if somebody says, I need a water filtration expert, they're like, let me get back to you on that. Let me call around to some of my colleagues at the office and see who they would recommend, and I'll get back to you on that. Because you don't want to BS anybody either. Like, you know what? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know somebody who would know that person. Let me call you back. Again, it's that added value. And then when you call them back, they're like, oh, by the way, who else is renting right now? Or, you know, we haven't done a market analysis of your house yet. Maybe I should swing by. It's been 3 years since you've lived there. I bet your house is worth a lot more today than what we bought it for 3 years ago. It's, again, that added value to somebody. But again, it's those easy contacts. I already know this person. I don't have to do anything hard. You know, and would I call them at Monday at 9 a.m.? No. But I would call them probably Thursday afternoon when I know they're home, because I know their work schedule. Because I know that's the day we always looked at houses. So it's those easy contacts that we're kind of looking for. So, talks about activating E-Edge, which is not fun. Completed your KW profile. Have people done that yet? Okay, that's something you should definitely do, is complete your KW profile.
Is that the same as the white pages?
No.
Oh, it's not.
No. Let me just...
Maybe I'm wrong.
So if you go to Ryan KW. What? What's wrong? Why am I not connected to the internet? Why is there no Wi-Fi here? Oh, there it is. No, I want this one. This room is like